Welcome, dear students, to this third lecture of the alpha decay chapter. Today we will be focusing on alpha particle or alpha decay paradox. We will quickly go through what we did in the previous lecture. We saw alpha particle spectrum and its relevance in nuclear spectroscopy, the long range alpha particles, in which certain group of alpha particles have kinetic energies much higher than rest of the groups. They're emitted, their energy is relatively high because the parent emits alpha particles from an excited state, and while rest of the alpha particles are emitted by the parent not from the excited state. So that's the basic difference. We had derived the formulation for disintegration energy, the Q, for an alpha decay process, and we had seen that there's no one Q, but there are different Qs, since there's no one alpha particle emitted, or you don't have alpha particles of the same kinetic energy. They are distributed in different groups. Okay, as is mentioned here, expectation is that all alpha particles should have same energy, but they are not. That's why we have alpha spectrum. This is the alpha spectrum. You can see these alpha particles here. They are emitted with different kinetic energies, as a result of which the daughter ends up being in different energy levels or different nuclear energy levels, and they finally come back to the ground state by emitting the gamma rays. So gamma rays are always accompanied with alpha rays or alpha particles. Today we'll focus on alpha paradox. I said alpha particle paradox or alpha decay paradox. Before that, we will understand this graph. Now this graph tells you the potential between alpha particle and the daughter nucleus. So basically just imagine this is the parent, and this is the daughter, and this is the alpha particle. Now if this is possible, the reaction from left to right is possible as per the laws of physics. A reaction from right to left is also possible. So which means that if you have alpha particle approaching from a distance, you have alpha particle approaching from a distance here, and you have the daughter approaching from distance like this. Now both of them can come closer, and then there'll be a point where they can fuse together and then finally result in parent X. So alpha and Y can approach each other and fuse to form capital X, just as capital X can decay into capital Y and alpha. So this is a charged particle. This is also a charged particle. Alpha particle has got charge 2, and this has got charge Z minus 2. So you have two charge 2 here, two protons, and Z minus 2 approaching each other. And you have a graph something like this. Now this graph needs to be understood in order to understand alpha paradox. Now what happens is, this is nothing but a Coulomb graph. You can see this up to this point. You have one charged particle at a distance. This is your one charged particle, and there is another charged particle which is smaller charged particle here. This is your alpha particle, and this is your daughter. Okay, so alpha particle and daughter at a distance, so there is a Coulomb potential between them. It's like a Coulomb potential between any two charged particles, and you plot a graph like this. This is one point, let's say, and then you reduce the distance. They approach still closer. This also comes closer, and then you plot another graph, another point here. So like that, if you plot a graph, it is governed by this formula. As you know, it is governed by capital Z small z e square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r. So Capital Z is the charge of the daughter, small z is the charge of alpha particle here, which is 2. So I put 2 here, capital Z is the daughter, R is the separation between them, E is the charge of electron. And if you put this value here, E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 turns out to be 1.4, sorry, this is 1.4 MeV by Fm. Okay, R is equal to R0 A raised to 1 by 3. You know that the radius of a nucleus is given by this formula. Let's see this in your FY BSc. And now if I put this formula here into the expression for Vc, then it turns out to be 28 MeV. So the whole idea is that this point is somewhere around 28 MeV. You can see this. This is 28 MeV, like that. And then after this point, what happens is, so till this point there is a Coulomb potential, and when the two particles approach very close to each other, almost in the nuclear range, like this, they're very close to each other. They're both charged particles here. They're approaching very close to each other, then the nuclear forces take over, and this repulsive force, which is given by 1 upon R dependence, is replaced by this attractive force, which is called, it is shown negative. So this attractive force is shown negative and the repulsive force is shown positive here. So you can say that this is a potential well. This is the potential well. Now let us look into the reverse process here. Now if you go to the next slide here, so you can see that this explains that this part of the curve is your Coulomb repulsion and this part is your attractive force, which has got some depth, which is minus V0. That is the depth of the potential well. Now what's happening here is, let's understand alpha decay paradox. In case of alpha decay, and in case of uranium getting decayed into thorium, I think I have the equation. I'll just check that once again. We have derived that, I written the expression here. Okay, yeah. You can see that uranium 228 is decaying into thorium and alpha particle. If you calculate the alpha particle energy, this alpha particle energy is turning out to be 4.2 MeV. Okay, this alpha particle is 4.2 MeV. So if I plot the graph, this alpha particle, can you see this coming out, emitted by uranium 238, is having energy 4.2 MeV. Now this is a big surprise because this potential well is of the order of, you can see that we have seen this, it's of the order of, it's much higher. We had calculated this minimum value. This potential well value we found out to be 28 MeV. You can see this here, 28 MeV. So when this potential well is 28 MeV, how can an alpha particle of 4.2 MeV tunnel out or come out? Because the barrier height is, maximum Coulomb potential is 28 MeV, we had seen. So if the Coulomb potential is 28 MeV and the alpha particle which is coming out is 4 MeV, around 4 MeV, then this is something which is defying classical laws of physics. You know that in order to surmount a barrier, you need to have an energy much greater than the potential height of that barrier. So here what is presuming, we are presuming here that this within the parent there are two parts, alpha particle and the daughter, and this alpha particle is trying to come out, and we know that when the alpha particle comes out, its energy is around 4 MeV. That's the whole idea. Okay, this is one part of the story, that how can an alpha particle with 4.2 MeV energy emitted from a parent uranium nucleus, when it encounters a barrier height of around 28 MeV or so. That's one point of contention. The another thing which is also contentious is you have polonium 212 which is emitting alpha particle. When polonium 212, the alpha particle emitted by polonium 212 is bombarded on thorium. Here you can see this equation again. You have seen this thorium equation. Okay. Thorium here. This alpha particle, imagine to be emitted by polonium, is 9.2 MeV. It is bombarded on thorium, and we are presuming that when they fuse together, it should give rise to 238. Now, why are we presuming this is uranium 238 is emitting 4.2 MeV energy. Now, if you have a higher energy than 4.2, it should easily fuse together and form uranium 238. So, we are talking about alpha particle emitted by polonium is bombarded here on thorium, but it gets reflected. You can see that this is getting reflected. So this alpha particle which comes like this, it's getting reflected by thorium. So the thorium, if you're talking about thorium and alpha particle here, this alpha particle is emitted by polonium. It has energy of the order of around 9 MeV. It is bombarded on thorium, but they don't fuse and they don't form uranium 238. So the point is why? Why should uranium 238 emit alpha particle of 4.2 MeV, but when 9.8 MeV alpha particle is bombarded on thorium, why should it not fuse and form uranium 238? So this problem is referred to as alpha decay paradox. Paradox means while coming out, it comes out with a lower energy. But when we are trying to fuse the alpha particle with daughter and form the parent, it gets reflected. So this was a big problem or big challenge in front of physicists as far as the alpha decay is concerned. Quantum mechanics came to the rescue. In 1928, Gamow, Gorny and Compton, all three of them got Nobel Prize. They independently solved the problem. Now, this is just a rough calculation using quantum mechanics uncertainty principle, which says that even if the particle has got a lower energy than the barrier height, it can tunnel through. Now, how it can tunnel through? Now, this is your uncertainty principle, and let's presume that the uncertainty is much smaller than p, which is definitely true. Delta p is going to be much smaller than p. So delta x is going to be much greater than h cross upon p. Now this is equal to h cross upon mv. Now if the velocity is such that, if v is such that delta x here, the delta x, if delta x is greater than, if delta x is going to be greater than r, that is a nuclear radius, then what will happen is, what does this mean? You have a probability of finding the particle outside the nuclear radius, which means the alpha particle has got escaped. So this does not get ruled out, but there are certain conditions that the velocity has to be such that this condition is satisfied, that delta x is greater than or equal to h cross upon mv. If such that, then you will find that the other side of the barrier. So what it wants to say is, it says that there is a wave associated with alpha particle. You can see this is shown by the wave, and this wave is able to tunnel through the barrier despite having energy lower than this barrier height. This is your barrier height. The energy is lower than the barrier height, but still a wave can tunnel through. A particle cannot tunnel through, but a wave can tunnel through. But you'll ask, but we are talking about alpha particle, but there is a wave associated with the alpha particle, which is called matter wave. And this, because of this wave, there is a finite probability. Now what is that probability? We will see that in the next lecture. but there is a finite probability that this particle can find itself on the other side of the barrier. But the paradox, as I said, was if I have polonium, alpha particle emitted by polonium trying to encounter this barrier, then this alpha particle gets deflected. So it is not able to enter into this barrier. Okay, so that's the whole idea. But this particle is able to tunnel out, but an external alpha particle is not able to tunnel in. So this is a paradox which I just explained earlier, but this is possible using alpha tunneling. Alpha tunneling or quantum mechanics is able to explain why a particle is able to tunnel out from the barrier despite having energy lower than the potential height. Now let's try to solve some examples related to alpha decay. Now you calculate the Q kinetic energy and maximum Coulomb barrier for the alpha decay of polonium. Polonium is the parent here which decays into lead. The masses are given. So the masses are given, you can calculate Q. Now once you know Q, then you can use this formula to calculate K. So this is the K, this is the Q, and Vc is the maximum Coulomb barrier. Now what is the maximum Coulomb barrier? As we have seen in the formula, 2 into 82, 1.440 MeV upon R, this is your R, and it turns out to be 26 MeV. Right, so now let me quickly summarize what we have done. What we have tried to understand in this entire presentation is alpha decay paradox. In order to understand alpha decay paradox, we need to understand the potential diagram between two charged particles. Here the two charged particles, one is alpha particle, another is a daughter. So if you presume hypothetically that they are far off and the distance is reduced, you can see that the potential increases. It goes up to maximum your Vc. After that, you are bringing the two charged particles so close, they are so close that they are entering into the nuclear energy level, nuclear force. So this Coulomb repulsion force is replaced by this. You can see a straight line here. Suddenly the graph changes course. From the positive value, it's shown as negative value. Now this is like a attractive force which is representing the nuclear force. Nuclear force is attractive and the Coulomb force is repulsive for two charged particles, same charged particles which are approaching each other. So what happens is, this is the graph like. Now if the alpha particle is inside, this, obviously if it is not emitted or if the parent is not decaying, you have the alpha particle inside. So you have alpha particle inside. Your alpha particle inside trying to come out. Okay, trying to come out. And what is found is the alpha particle which comes out has energy which you draw 4.2 MeV. This is the value for alpha emitted by uranium. For different elements, the value is different. As you know that the alpha particle emitted by radioactive substance varies between 4 to 10 MeV. Depends on the half-life of the parent. So for the case of uranium, it is 4.2. The surprising part is this barrier height is much higher than 4.2. So how is the alpha particle able to come out? That's one part. And you have, if you have another alpha particle from the opposite end bombarded on the daughter, it is not able to tunnel in. So if this is possible, the other way around should also be possible, which is the paradox we have seen. And we also saw how quantum mechanics is able to give you a rough explanation as to why the alpha particle can tunnel out despite this alpha particle is able to tunnel out despite having energy lower than the potential barrier. This is explained by uncertainty principle, which says there is a finite probability that delta x could be so large that you have a position of the particle outside the nuclear radius. and we had seen the new vehicle. Right, dear students, what I will do is I'll have a Google Meet, possibly with some of you who have doubt. I'll post it in the group, and then I'll take your questions on a live basis. Thank you.